Biden approved a deal to send, like I said I think it was last week or the week before, 2 weeks ago, yeah, that he's gonna allow $735 million along with the $3.8 billion to go to Israel. Now, we already went over what Israel was doing, so if you haven't seen those videos, you might want to go check them out, because I'm about to go crazy. Let me fix this. So, Bernie Sanders is useless. I'm going to start it off with that. Bernie is useless. The squad is useless. So the left flank of the House and of the Senate are useless as hell. They do nothing. Nothing at all. Now, it turns out that Biden approved that deal to give $735 million in aid to Israel. Okay? Now, I'm just giving you the facts first, and then I'm going to go off on Bernie and the left. And Biden. Biden. So, Bernie was told and given notice and notified that, hey, Biden approved that deal. In response, and this is from Alex Kane, where I got these details, because he's a reporter for a couple magazines. One Jewish, one something else. So, all to joy, right? Whatever. So, Bernie, in response, decides, okay, I'm going to put a hold on all state nominees, because Biden still got nominees that they got that through. Well, so he blocks it. There's a massive hold on it. And then he lifted the fucking hold. Because Biden and his administration came out, I guess Biden gave him a call, or someone in the administration said, hey, Bernie, lift that hold right now. We're going to send humanitarian aid and charitable donations to help rebuild Gaza. And Bernie Sanders was like, okay, I guess I'll lift the hold. But then he's like, we have to stop the inevitable evictions, the illegal evictions, and the ethnic cleansing and the bombing of Palestinian children and the evictions in Jerusalem. But you lifted the hold, Bernie! You did! Bernie Sanders lifted the hold just because they told him, oh, hey, we're gonna give some humanitarian aid. You did it just off word of mouth? Are you kidding me? There's no proof that Biden's even gonna do that. And here's Bernie Sanders like, hey, it's lifted. That's all? That's all it takes to get Bernie to lift the fucking hold? That's all? Oh my God. They just approved $735 billion. They probably would. $735 million to go to Israel. And by the way, they're the ones killing Palestinian children. They're bombing media buildings. They're bombing refugee camps. They're bombing houses. They're bombing the railways and the pathways and the highways to the Al-Shifa hospital. They're bombing Doctors Without Borders. They're doing all of that. All of it. And here they are saying, we still want to give weapons to Israel. That's what they're saying. And we as the United States are backing that, both with our money and with our weapons. So they're telling Boeing, go ahead and make $735 million worth of weapons. So they're basically, now, by the way, they're basically allowing Israel to say, okay, fine, this time we won't do ethnically cleansing. This time we won't do apartheid. This time we won't, ethnically cleanse people. Fine, this time. Wow! And they get money just for saying that. Meanwhile, they still do it. Oh my God, how... And by the way, the United States in the UN 5 times. They blocked a resolution in the United Nations to stop the violence, to ask for to demand a ceasefire. The U.S. blocked it 5 times. Israel even said, I don't want a ceasefire. What the hell? I don't want a ceasefire. And then we criticize Cuba and Venezuela and Iran and Iraq and Russia and China and everybody else because, oh my God, they're human rights abusers and we need to stop them. Meanwhile, here we are backing the regimes who do the exact same thing. Oh, we're going to help Saudi Arabia and give them billions of dollars in weapons to bomb Yemen. Oh, but it's defensive. How is it defensive? Yemen's not the one striking them. Meanwhile, Israel is beheading people for apostasy. Israel is killing Saudi Arabia is doing it. Probably Israel too, but Saudi Arabia is doing it. They're killing our journalists. Remember Jamal Khashoggi, who died because they brutally murdered him and decapitated him? Remember that? And yet we still give him what we still give Ben Salman and King Salman presents. We give him weapons. And then we have Israel, who does an apartheid. And there are reports and ethnically cleansing the Muslims out to get the Jewish people in, and then they're whatever, right? Bombing Palestinians or whatever. There's even reports that Bernie, apparently, I missed it, said, oh, we need to tone down the rhetoric and stop calling it an apartheid. There are separate streets in the settlements, in the illegal settlements. That's apartheid. That's what apartheid was. And then they say, oh, that's being anti-Semitic. It's not. It's not being anti-Semitic. You're just saying it's anti-Semitic because it's like, oh, well, we need to stop the rhetoric that's telling the truth. You know, and they also say, oh, well, the Palestinians, you know, they govern themselves. They picked Hamas. It's a fucking ruse. It's a ruse. Remember the Alpac 2, I think it's the Alpac 2 stands in South Africa? Remember that? It's a ruse. And by the way, it's an apartheid what they're doing. Even the Human Rights Watch, who they have some criticism because they back the U.S. and our allies way too fucking much. Even they say it's an apartheid. The top Human Rights Watch organization in Israel, they say it's an apartheid. There are over 50 laws in the books making Palestinians second-class citizens. And then, by the way, when the ceasefire was ordered last week, finally, they still kept bombing shit. And then, you know, so it kept going. But by the way, they're also saying, so if we're saying we need to calm down the rhetoric and say it's not an apartheid, then what the fuck are the Palestinians supposed to do? If they fucking do violence, oh my God, terrorism, holy shit. But when Israel does it, I don't know. Brought to you by Jazz. No one says anything. They're just acting on their power. And then when they act peacefully through BDS, divestments, and sanctions, when they use an economic approach where they will not buy anything that is grown, processed, made, built, assembled, or anything in the occupied territories, they call that terrorism. So if the Palestinians can't peacefully protest, what the fuck are they supposed to do? What? And by the way, if they can do it violently, they can do it peacefully, what are they supposed to do? And by the way, after the ceasefire, guess what? They did a peaceful protest. The Arab Israelis, along with the Palestinians in Gaza, decided, the Palestinians, so the Arab Israelis, they decided to do a general strike in solidarity with their brothers and sisters. Oh, and by the way, Israel, after the ceasefire, Israeli police are taking Palestinians into custody. So we're still backing Israel. What Bernie Sanders should have done is, no, we're keeping this hold on until the illegal eviction stop, until the bombing stops, until the ethnic cleansing stops, and until the apartheid stops. Fuck you. You don't agree with me? I don't give a damn. Stop that, and I let your people come in. You don't? I don't give a flying fuck. And actually, if you want to make it even simpler, hey, don't send the weapons over. Don't give Boeing that contract. You give Boeing that contract, well, you're going to sit the rest of your 4 fucking years in office without any nominee. Because the Republicans are going to take power if you don't do any material shit. I can play hardball too. Oh, no, but they're not doing it. Bernie's not doing it. He lifted the fucking hold off word of mouth. God, the left is so weak. They don't force the vote on Medicare for all. They don't force the vote on the $15 minimum wage. And then they don't protect the Palestinians. If you're a lawmaker and like Bernie Sanders, you don't support BDS, you're fucking useless. If you're an elected official and you're not out there vocally supporting BDS and the Palestinians, you're goddamn useless. If only Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are the only ones supporting BDS and the Palestinians, everyone else on the left is fucking useless. Israel should not be getting weapons. But here we go. We're still going to give you weapons even though you behead people, even though you're killing people. Remember 2014? So in 2014, Israel bombed Gaza again. And then they killed 22 to 2,500 people. I think it was 2,800, including 500 children. This time over 200 Palestinians are dead and over 60 children. Wow. Just incredible. And we still give them weapons. So whenever we always support all these regimes who do human rights atrocities, who commit these human rights atrocities, and then we turn around and say, oh, we care about democracy and human rights and justice and equality all over the world. Meanwhile, we're supporting regimes that don't. So whenever someone says, oh, you got to vote for a democracy. What democracy? We don't have a fucking democracy. We have an oligarchy that serves foreign powers that commits human rights atrocities. That's what we have. Hypocrites. Republicans or Democrats would do the same thing.